To all of those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave pair of peeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is the Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Shawn Whittington. I'm a seminarian in the United States Old Catholic Church, and I'm coming to you live from my haunted house. Going to be a great show tonight. I haven't talked to my guest in a long time, and he's had quite the wild couple of months. Can't wait for him to share some of his stories with all of us tonight. And I love that banner at the beginning of the show. Don't forget May Day to check out Zach's show on that day. That's going to be a great show. First, of course, go out and dance around the maypole, and then come on and make sure you check out Zach's show that night. Let's check the prayer urn. Margaret D. from Texas. Hi, Margaret. I wasn't religious until I recently experienced a miracle. Well, God bless you. Would you offer up a prayer to help me discern if I actually did experience a miracle and if there really is a God? That is a wonderful request, Margaret. I absolutely will. And I know the prayer I'm going to pray for you. It's my newest, well, the prayer is not new, but it's my newest favorite prayer right now. It comes out of my St. Benedict prayer book. Hopefully my voice holds up. Many of you know I'm still struggling with the after effects of a bad bout of COVID about a month ago, and I'm still struggling. So hopefully my voice holds up. But Margaret, reach out to me after the show. I'd like to hear about your miracle. I've had my fair share of experiences with divine intervention myself, and I love to hear those stories. Okay. I hope you love this prayer, Margaret. I love it too. It's called Searching for God. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. O Lord, my God, teach my heart this day where and how to see you, where and how to find you. You have made me and remade me, and you have bestowed on me all the good things I possess. And still I do not know you. I have not yet done that for which I was made. Teach me to seek you, for I cannot seek you unless you teach me, or find you unless you show yourself to me. Let me seek you in my desire. Let me desire you in my seeking. Let me find you by loving you. Let me love you when I find you. Amen. That's a beautiful prayer. Yes, Margaret, please reach out to me after the show. I'd like to talk to you about your miracle, okay? Let's check the Paranormal Ministry mailbag. And if this is a question that's good for my guest, too, I might hold on to the answer till I run it past him. JM from Mass. I have a lot of friends in Mass. How dangerous are cults to clergy in the deliverance ministry? That is a great question. And, it might be something that my guest didn't expect to be asked, but, he's a paranormal authority and an elite cryptozoologist. And he's been doing this a lot longer than me. So I will ask him on his opinion on this. But yeah, let me just real quick, many years ago, I almost did a show that was about my then mentor, who's now retired. And it was about an American exorcist and her team. And right before the show aired, we all came under severe demonic attack, and she had to go into retirement. The show never aired, but we were all given stage names to go with for the show because at that time it was a very real danger. Dangerous cults and dangerous movements were out after exorcists and to assassinate them. So it was a uh, very real danger. And there's a great book out by Reverend Gacy called Today's Destructive Cults and Movements. Great book. And that was a required reading before we did that show um, about that. But yes, it's even today still a great danger. And of course, even without that, everyone knows, within the sound of my voice, knows that all forms of holy people from all different religious backgrounds and religious walks in life are under severe attack right now all over the world. So it is what it is. But anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. If you go there, remember my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So I know times are tough, brothers and sisters, but if you notice the donate button and you're able to do so, click on it and send my ministry in a small donation. I promise you it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts. And trust me, we'll put it to good use. Uh, I'm also a certified spiritual advisor. So if you have issues of a spiritual nature, not necessarily attached to the paranormal, and you'd like to make an appointment to speak with me about that, my rule when I do that is absolutely no judgment, and I am a great listener. There's a place on the website where you can make an appointment to speak with me. But don't leave the website without navigating over to the page called Introduction to Spiritual Warfare Course/book. You'll find the ghost store, cool things to buy in there if you go for that sort of stuff. And everything that proceeds from everything purchased on there go to things that I support, charities that I support. But you'll run into my new haunted autobiography, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry. And I quote, scariest book I ever published. That was Annette Munich, owner of Stellium Books, my publisher. But don't let that scare you off of purchasing a copy. If you haven't done your good deed for the day yet, part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my book goes to support stjude.org, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Nevada, and the ASPCA. So it's a no-brainer. You get to help some of the neediest children on the planet and the animals too. How cool is that? You can purchase the book at the website. That book will come to you autographed, enclosed in a beautiful house blessing kit, or you can get it a little less expensive at Amazon. Scroll a little further down and you'll see the Introduction to Spiritual Warfare course. I offer a 12-week online college-level course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, through my eyes, what I've seen and dealt with over the years. And this is a great course for all you ghost hunters, ghostbusters, paranormal investigators, warriors for Christ out there that want more knowledge when it comes to drawing your line in the sand, making a stand, circling the wagons, and putting up a good fight against, God forbid, true evil if it ever comes calling. That's the course for you. You can enroll in the course there at the website. If you want more information about the course, there is an Introduction to Spiritual Warfare course Facebook page. Or you can just reach out to me and talk to me about it. We'll see if the course is right for you. Most importantly, keep all of my former, current, and future students in your prayers. And all my students that graduate get a stunning diploma, certificate of completion, suited for framing, along with some other very special blessed gifts that you can only get from yours truly. Okay, the reason why you all tuned in tonight. I consider him a friend. It's been far too long since him and I have chatted like this. I don't know why. Um, I'll take the blame for that, but hopefully it's not that long again till I have him back. But like I said, he's had a very challenging, interesting um, last couple of months in his life. And many of you reached out to me and sent me messages about that. And I didn't know any of this. So I'm looking forward to just letting him do his thing tonight. Please give a big, warm Paranormal Ministry family welcome to elite cryptozoologist, paranormal authority, podcaster, radio, TV, film personality, the one and only Brian Mothman. Listen, I don't know what M stands for. I figured it's either Mothman or Funky Cold Medina. I'm not sure, but
It's I keep that on the down low and secret. Very few people. My kids know, my wife knows. That's about it.
let's go. I'll go with Mothman then. We'll stick with
We'll
that.
take Mothman. I loved the promo you put out there. That was awesome. It was great. Want to first wish everybody prayers, healing, recovery, and blessings to all. Um, and I would highly recommend get your faith in God, no matter who you are following. It's very important. This is a great time to start praying again and
Yes.
find God again. It's
God bless
really
you for
important.
saying
We're
that.
having a battle right now between good and evil on multiple fronts, and wake up, start get your God on. So
Get good. Whoever God is to you, or whatever, many people I speak to reach out to me that have no religious belief system in place, but they look at me and they go, does this guy know something I should know? Or I like him, so I'm going to check him out. And we start talking, and I say, listen, keep it simple. I'm not
yep,
going to try to convert you to Catholicism if it's not speaking to you. But if you believe, most of these people are already being tormented by something very low vibrational, malevolent. I say, if you believe in that, which obviously you do,
right.
you've got to believe in a higher vibrational power of love and light watching over us, and whatever name you want to attach to that, talk to it. Start asking for help, ask your guardian angels for help, and start praying.
I,
And
I, it's difficult when you're going through hell on earth. It's hard to remain positive, but I've gotten that advice from through a bunch of people I've respected, and I'm not lying to you. I've been through it. I've been at the bottom of the bottom, and when life is throwing you lemons and you're getting pelted, I always had the attitude throwing back at people. But on top of that, it's tough to remain positive. But you have to understand something: when you start going the positive route and you keep the positive route, even though it's like, I'm getting another. Okay, tomorrow's gonna be a great day, and guess what? Yeah, they're going to battle you, but you're going to break through that wall, and then tomorrow's a better day. And this happens, and this good thing happens. It's really weird, but the more positive that you put into it, I'm telling you, the little things won't hurt you anymore. So, and I too am an ordained minister. Grew up in one faith, but I take in a multitude of some of the greats throughout, everything from Judaism to Jesus to, there's little things here and there in a variety of, Hinduism and stuff that they're all masters, and they come here to teach us. And they're all basically coming in with the same message. And if you do that, what you do is, and if you're a paranormal person, you start raising your vibration. So we're here. And when you raise your vibration to here, this is what Jesus would have done and what he was trying to teach. And once you start raising your vibration, the higher you raise it, the closer you get to source, God. People call it source. I don't like calling God source. It's not source for me. It's God. That's who it is. So yeah, so that we keep doing what we're doing. It's been a really interesting year. to
well, it's funny when you mentioned you used to think about, when you're getting pelted with lemons, throw them back. It
Yeah.
reminded me. Do you remember that comedian who's no longer with us, Gallagher,
Oh yeah, I love
where
Gallagher.
he talked about uh, his cure for road rage was all these car dealerships should start, or manufacturers should start selling cars with these little cannons on the hood that shoot tomatoes.
That
But
would
you
be
got to
great.
buy your own tomatoes. But people just should cannon each other, your cars
You
that
get
is,
the
with
rage
these.
out, and no
Get
one's
the
hurt.
rage out. No one's hurt,
Yeah.
and it's fun. But yeah. So what I'm going to do now is we talked about this briefly in the green room before
Right.
I brought you out. I thought I got pranked by. I have a half a dozen or so questions that fans and followers of
Sure.
yours sent me in this week, but one of them was this question. I thought I was being pranked, and you brought it up in the green room, and to
Yeah.
be honest with you, I was shocked, and I was also disappointed I didn't already know. So the question was, ask him how he's doing after his heart attack,
Yeah.
and I did not know, brother. So I'm just going to shut up now and have you talk to us about this interesting, challenging, scary, but yet in many ways wonderful last couple 3 months of your life.
Yeah, no, it's been very interesting. I got to preface. This is part of what I'm going to tell everybody right now, and it borders on. For those of you that are interested in the paranormal, it's very paranormal. For those of you on a miracle side, it's I would say it's a miracle, and so I'll let you know. Year prior, I lost a lot of good people. I lost my father-in-law. I lost my uncle, who was a tremendous person who took my two kids in and treated them as grandkids. He loved them to death, and he loved all his grandkids. But select ones had a little bit more of a special connection, and my two had a really great connection with him. And of course, his daughters, children. He loved them all, but there was one or two that were like, he really connected with. And part of that was one of my cousin's daughter was getting married, and that's someone that my uncle was connected to a lot. And they were supposed to dance at the wedding. He loved to dance, and when he passed away, she was just heartbroken. So I always tell people all the time, when your loved ones pass away, they're not gone. They're there with you, and you can talk to them, and they'll come to you in dreams. Sometimes they'll leave you little signs. They'll leave you like you'll be walking, you'll find a feather, or some of them like to use coins out of the blue. You'll do like, what's the penny doing on the floor? You know, but most people just like, they're just not thinking about it. But you'll get signs, you'll get smells, you get
Do
tastes.
you? I'm
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt you. When it comes to coins, do you have a preference? Like some people won't pick it up if it's
yeah,
tails up or heads
yeah,
up
yeah.
or
No, my youngest doesn't care. She'll just pick up anything. And I don't know, I grew up with that heads is good, tails is bad. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of kick it around until it lands on heads. If I really want it. I mean, what I do is I point it out to my child, and they said, look, but she's already lucky. She finds things that it's, I mean, like $20 here. She found $100 at one point. I'm like, what's going on with you? Can you pick the lottery numbers for daddy? You know? so, so I lost a lot of people, and it was very melancholy. And one of my friends that I lost, I met at work, great guy. He was Presbyterian. And we used to talk really deep conversation about life and what's going on in the world. And he was very into praying. He prayed a lot. And he's telling me about this feeling that used to come over him. Like he feels like a vibration, like a wind and an energy. And then it gets to a certain point where it would start in his chest and go around his body and then slowly creep up the back to his head. And just before it kind of like engulfed him, he would wake up afraid. And then he would talk about dreams he was having. And he was worried. This is during the big C event. And we're not going to mention the names. And and he had these dreams where he was in a room or in a bed, and he's waking up with fire around him, and everything was on fire. And this was 2 years ago. 2 years he was having these dreams. He was really nervous, so he started praying harder. He would read the scriptures, and I'm trying to explain to him. I said, what's happening with you is you're raising your vibration. You're going through an ascension, and what you're trying to do is connect your brain, body, mind, heart, and soul. That's the energy you're feeling. And just before it gets to the point where you're actually sealing the deal, it freaks you out, because when you have one of these experiences, some people call it religious experience, everything just lets go, and you're in this, it's the weirdest feeling. It's like a vibration, but you're not. Everything's clearer. There's brighter colors. So it was unsettling for him. So I said, just try to do it. Try to let your mind and your body connect, and you're going to be okay. You've got the protection of God with you. And he didn't do it. So throughout the year, we kept going back and forth with these things, and he slowly built up to it. And then he had an issue where he wasn't feeling well, and basically I told him, you need to go to the doctor. And he was complaining a little bit. Nah, I'm not going to go there. I'm like, look, Rob, either go or I'm going to drag your ass out. And eventually he got to the point where he was really sick, so he called his brother to take him, and they found he was just covered in tumors. And
Oh,
his last words to me on the phone was, "I'm scared." And I said, "I know you are, but remember, you put your faith in God and you'll be okay." Um, and he did pass away. And I knew he passed away without knowing because um, 2 days prior to me finding out he passed away, he was in my kitchen. I caught him at the corner of my eye and he was just standing there with a smile. And I'm like, it's one of those like, did I just see that? And that happens to me. I get that. I've been, what I do, what I can do. These are new things that happen. And 2 days later, I got a phone call from Connecticut, which didn't know the number, and something said, "You need to answer the phone." And I found out he passed away. Fast forward on Rob, I thought, I went to his viewing, and we had his viewing on his birthday, would have been his 44th birthday. And I met his parents, I met his mother, and I met his brother and his sister and their family. And she said, Rob talked a lot about you and how wonderful you were. And I said, I loved your son to death. He's a great guy. I'm at a loss. I really to this day I'm still at a loss for losing him. And I thought they were going to bury him, and I'd get to stop by the cemetery. No, the reason why I was having dreams of fire is they were cremating him, and he was foretelling his own death. And this happens with people. It happens sooner than later, but that's the Lord's way of kind of like giving you a little sign something's coming. Oh, I smell my mother's bread. I just smelled my grandmother's fragrance. I could have sworn I heard my father. These are little signs as you get. It usually happens to older individuals, but it's been happening to a lot more to younger people now because of what's taken place in the last couple of years. And it's weird because I know these things are happening, and I can sense certain things that are happening. And part of a new ability I had, you had one of my dearest friends on, Katie Turner. Um, and when I'm too close to a situation, I call her up like, okay, what am I doing? And she'll read it because if you're too close to a situation, sometimes you need a third party to see it from a different angle.
absolutely.
And I came home and it was like, man, Rob, like this was like a couple of days later, I'm like, man, Rob, I really miss you. I hope you're all right. And it's clear as day. I'm doing good, man. And I'm like, okay, I just heard that in my head. He goes, no, you're not. I'm talking to you. You're talking to me. I said, and I started asking, and I wasn't moving my mouth. And I'm like, I'm really talking to you. Yep. Heard it like we are speaking right now. So I'm like, okay, all right. And then I started seeing him, and it's really weird in my mind's eye. I knew where he was. I saw him in heaven up there. He goes, it was, I thought it would be scary, but it's not, and it's wonderful. And you know, every once in a while, I said, well, you have a good journey, and I'll see you soon. Remember me. And he goes, I'll never forget you. And I called the kid. I'm like, what the hell's going on? She goes, oh my God, you've got clear audio. And I'm like, well, it needs to stop now. And it happens a lot more. And I'm getting drops. And she calls them downloads, and other people call them downloads. Um, Getting these things, I can hear people. I do a lot of, I don't publicize it as much. I do readings, some of which I charge for, a lot of which I do not. Um, I like to call my thing remote viewing, but it's more than that now. Um, and I've helped a couple of people out, and people I have no idea, but they were having tremendous issues. And it's weird when
Have
I'm
you
the middle.
always done that?
No, I think this was always there, but I didn't point to it until later on in life. One of the things I used to do, used to get out of this is I've been doing this since I'm a little kid. If I'm on a bus or I'm someplace and I'm bored, I'll concentrate somebody on the front end of the bus, and I'll just say in my mind, turn around. Come on, turn around, say hi. Turn around. And every once in a while, it's people, and they turn around and they look. So I thought it was funny. I'll play little games like this. I'll play little jokes. I used to understand when I met people, I was always able to know when someone's BSing me or not. And then as I started developing my remote viewing end of it, looking into, like being physically here but able to travel anywhere. Um, One of the things I just started practicing more and more, and then what that happens is when you start using your third eye, which is these are all God given gifts, mind you. This is not satanic. This is not when God made man in His image. This is part of the gifts we have, the abilities. I'm just using them because I use both hemispheres. When you're an artistic or quantitative, you're more inclined to it. This is why of men and women, girls versus boys, especially younger ones, are more in depth, are more inclined to do these things. And those who on the male side who are a little bit more creative or use both hemispheres are able to do it quicker. And as you start focusing on one, which I was focusing on remote viewing, these things, it's just like, this begot that, really weird. And so it is what it is. And it's just very odd when you're sitting there and I'm the middle person and I can't do it like some people like can do it like this. Katie Turner, one of the best out there, if not the best. Boom. She gets it. Boom, boom, boom. Even instantaneously, like, I get things like that instantaneously when I'm not really paying attention. It's just as if you've known all your life. It goes in here and you hear people and you see people and it's weird. So getting back to what's happening, I lost my father-in-law, my uncle. I lost Butch Wachowski, who is one of the best in the paranormal fields. He was at a PA, UFO cop, um, and my friend Rob. And so it's been a trying. I stopped doing my podcast for a while because it's like it really hit me hard.
Yeah.
Um, so fast forward to this current year, March 2nd. Um, it's March 2nd. I get a text in the morning from my cousin. You know, she goes, "I'm a great aunt," and sends me a picture that her sister's daughter, the one that my my uncle had a little bit more of a special occasion, that just got married, had her first baby, Claire, and she was born at 10:38 a.m. So my aunt goes, "Look, it's I'm a great aunt." So I have to be the wise ass and go, "Well, we think you're okay, but great, that's a different story." So, you know, she's being an aunt to an aunt, which is fantastic. And she said to me, "I really wish, if my dad was here, he'd be over the moon." So I always said, "What makes you think your father is not there?" And I got her a reading through Katie, and she goes, "You know what? You're right." I said, "He knows. He's there for a reason." So the day goes on. I watch, my favorite sport is hockey, folks. I watch my New York Rangers lose a game that they should have won. And I'm sitting there and the game's over. It's at night. It's about almost 9 o'clock. It's about around 9 o'clock. And I start getting this feeling in the chest. Now, I did have lifeguard training, so I know what heart attacks feel like. It's supposed to be down your arm, a little radiating around the chin, your cold sweats, maybe blood. And it's just getting worse and worse. My wife wasn't there. And I'm like, I'm having a heart attack. So I'm just sitting there, just trying to focus on getting rid of the pain. My wife comes in and goes, "Hello, hello." And I said, "Call 911." So she calls 911.
You
And
couldn't call 911 before she got home?
here's my mentality. I was so focused in on, no, I didn't know where my phone was at the time. And I was so focused on
The pain.
the pain and getting, just focusing on a spot, kind of like to get rid of it or control it. I did not want to lie down. I didn't want to close my eyes because I knew if I laid down or closed my eyes, I'd be dead. I needed to fight this. And I'm getting these visions. And this is happening in front of both my kids. One's 11, one's 15. And then my wife comes in. And my 15-year-old, God bless her, she did the right thing. The teenage went away, and she took her sister upstairs and really, kept her on the wrap. I was so thankful for her. So the paramedics come, they check me out. Before that, I just took my top off. I knew I know I'm going to the hospital. And I give my wife everything. And she's a trooper, but you can see how distraught she is, right?
Yeah.
So they wheel me to the hospital. They try to give me drugs, and I'm focusing. And they're like, "Stay with me." I'm like, "I'm with you. I'm trying to get rid of this pain. We're gonna give you something for this or that." And we get to I kind of like we look up a little bit. We pull into the which felt like a forever to go 7 miles. It's really not that far when you're traveling fast, but it felt like forever. And we get to we stop. I hear the ambulance back up, and there's a beep, 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 and then the door is open, and I kind of look, and it's all white, and I'm like, oh no. I'm like, here's your white pearly gates. I'm like, oh God. Then I look up a little higher, and it says, no parking for ambulances only. I'm like, okay, great. Get me in there and they get me in, and they're going through this whole procedure, and I'm greeted by this great team. They, three really beautiful nurses start ripping my pants off, and I'm like, I can't even enjoy this. These are the procedures that are going on, and this, do you know what's happening? I said, I'm having a heart attack. Do you have any heart problems? I said, well, I had 9 months earlier, my doctor detected something called a right branch problem. So there's different branches of the heart. So they did a nuclear stress test. That's a fun experience, folks. Don't bother.
I've done that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was just like, it
That's
was
weird. Yeah.
Yeah, they give you this stuff. I'm not ready yet. Oh my God, I don't feel well. And the woman next to me, it feels like you're running from a bear. I'm like, who are you? It's like, it was a real rough experience. And I got up, I'm like, after it. So the doctor and my cardiologist said, everything looks good. He was kind of defeated, my cardiologist. He's like, you're fine. It's like, oh, you sound upset that I'm fine. Because they're assuming big guy, whatever, doesn't exercise, going to be a problem. But I even looked at the images, and everything was crystal clear. It was good. So let's fast forward back to March, 2nd, about 9 something at night. And they're asking me, like, do you have heart problems? So I said, I had a right branch problem, but I did a nuclear stress test, and they said, I'm good. They said, oh, okay. So they eventually get me on a gurney, and they wheel me into the team. They're looking for the team to do whatever. Either they're going to crack me open or they're going to do a stent. Wheel me in, and all I'm doing is I'm praying to God, to Jesus, to Raphael, to Michael, to Buddha, my uncle, my father, and I'm saying, please don't take me. I need to be here for my kids. And it's not a discredit to my wife, but I need to be here to make sure these girls grow up. And I kept focusing, and the doctor is like, stay with us. And normally I love watching these things, and I'm just seeing 3 people 2 of my kids, and there's 1 other person. That's all I keep seeing. And these are real people I know. That's it. And I know I have to be alive. I have to be alive. And I'm kind of like, just like looking off to the side and like, don't drift off. I'm like, I'm not drifting off. I'm just trying to find that spot. And the doctor's like, about a minute, Mr. B, Mr. Bowden, you're going to feel a bit better.
Do they have to be careful what to give you for pain during a heart attack?
Oh, they didn't give me crap for pain.
That's unusual.
You could have, seriously, they didn't give me anything for pain. They didn't even inject me with anything. They went right in through my artery.
Hey,
right
Brian,
here,
I got
and went into my body.
I got a real.
I didn't care less. You could have cut me open with a knife, and I would have felt better than what the pain in my chest.
Okay, well, I got a really serious question for you here.
Sure.
Do you think it's being a Rangers fan that caused this problem? Because
that
you know what? Because you know what, buddy?
Yeah.
You better get used to that pain because this is coming.
Yeah, good luck. We'll see. We'll see. It's going to be.
That's right. I forgot he's a Jersey Devil fan.
Yeah,
I
know the Jersey Devil, and I used to live in New York.
When you mentioned Rangers, I love that movie Mystery Alaska.
Yeah, it's good. That's a tough. This is the series I'm worried about. By the way, I'm really worried about this series. But let's get back to.
Okay.
I'm dying. So we go through it, and I tell the surgeon about once again I had a right branch problem. Blah blah blah. It was okay, and in an instant, he goes, "You should be feeling better any minute, Mister." And then boom. You just like, what's your pain level now? I'm like, it's about a 4. What about now, sir? Oh, it's definitely better. It's like, 2, maybe. And okay, you're doing good. He goes out. Everything's done. They're wrapping up my stuff. And so they wheel me out on the gurney. And out there is my wife standing there. And I can see in her, like, she has just been like, I can't deal with this right now. And one of our friends from the neighborhood that we moved into Florida, that we became very, very good friends with. She was there because she said, I got to be there for my wife, for his wife, because she's going to be all over the place. She's not going to remember anything. And the doctor's on the right side of the gurney. So the doctor goes, this is where it's going to get a little bit interesting, okay? The doctor goes, my wife goes, Brian, this is the doctor who saved your life. And I thank everybody. Thank you very much for saving my life. I appreciate it. He goes, I was just telling your wife that uh, I've heard about, you mentioned the right branch, and I've heard about this. I've read about it, but I've never seen it until now. And he says, very rare, but this is the first time I've ever seen it. Your right branch grew its own bypass. My heart grew its own bypass. And without missing a beat, I go, must be the alien implants. And my wife and her friend just start cracking up. And the doctor's like, what is he on? What did we give him? She goes, no, doc. This is my husband. This is Brian. He investigates the paranormal. So he was like, oh, okay. And they wheeled me off. Here's where it gets even better. My cousin's daughter gave birth to their first child at 10:28 a.m. on March 2nd. I was reborn at 10:38 p.m. on March 2nd. That's what's on the charts. What odds that those two would? So I without missing a beat, I just knew it. There's a feeling you get, and I just said thank you. I just thank you. I thank everybody. I said thank you, Lord. Whatever you haven't planned for me, I'm all in. I'll follow you wherever you need me to follow you. So that's kind of, there's coincidences. And if you've done this long enough, there's not many. Very, very few and far in between. 10:38 in the morning, 12 hours later, 10:38. It's just does, even everybody was like, my wife was like, who's skeptical, was like, that it was put in 10:38 p.m., right? And I'm like, really? And I said, yeah. I said, well, there was some divine influence on that. And so that was, so I'm here, and I thank, whoever was asking the question, and anybody that asks questions about me. I do appreciate the support and people that like what I have to say, in regards to these things. And I'm easily accessible. Just tell me, I heard you on Shawn's show, Reverend Whittington show, and I want to ask you about this. I'll answer. I'm on Facebook, all these places. But someone also asked me something in relationship to my heart growing its own bypass, and I'll get into that if you'd like.
Yes, please. And I also, you scratched the surface a little bit with the weird, probably extraterrestrial encounter thing, and then we had to go live. So I'm interested in that story too.
I'm going to get into that. And when I told one of my buddies that I investigate with, like, you sure you want to mention that? Because that's talking about certain things that people are going to think are, I'm like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Truth
you get
has
to a
to
point
come
where
out.
you don't anymore, yeah.
No, it's more important the truth comes out, and you have to understand the perspective. So I've been investigating UFOs, aliens, abductions, Bigfoot, cryptids. I don't do demonic. That's above my pay grade.
You
Everybody
still
knows
have
that.
the website that has the where people can call in their
Yeah.
sightings.
Yep. You can call it. I'm redoing my own website now, brianbowden.com. It's just I've been moving. I went from New York down to Florida, and this relates to that problem. So I wasn't flying. We kept going back and forth from New York to Florida to try to find a place to live because of, we'll say it, liberties in America was good down in Florida versus what was taking place in communist New York. And I'm going to say it that way. Born and raised in New York, but I couldn't deal with that. And that was endangering my kids. So what we do is we normally drive from New York City and we go to the halfway point, which is Florence, South Carolina. And at one point when we first started, we stayed at Fayetteville. Now, Fayetteville is 1 hour from Florence. I know that for a fact, but Florence gives you that extra hour south. So it's a little bit easier when you're driving back, from Florence to Florida. So we're driving, and it usually takes a long time. Going through Washington, D.C. was miserable. I mean, I have never in my life. They've got 40 lanes. It's jam-packed. I mean, I just don't understand it. So I had my two kids in the back. my wife in the front, and we're driving, and we get to that Fayetteville spot, and I'm using Waze, and the Waze app. I created my own Waze, sounds, so I can use my own, voice. And everybody gets. Actually, three of my friends go, "The kids love you." I'm like, great. So you can get my Waze. I think it's like BBNYC, whatever, on Waze. Not safe for work. There's a couple of spots where it gets a little dicey. But so we get there, and my wife's passed out. She's sleeping. It's about 11:40ish, and they're closing down 95. I've like, what? So there's a detour taking place, and it's at Fayetteville, and it's the same exit. So Waze tells me get off the exit, and I know I'm an hour away from getting to a hotel and sleeping. Okay, so it's about 11:40, 11:45. So I follow this bypass, and it puts me on this road called 301. It's an old country road. I'm so familiar with these type of country roads, 2 lanes, and the moon was just right where you can shut the lights off and drive without headlights and see
Cool.
perfectly. So I've done that numerous times before. So everybody's passed out, and I noticed that this is really weird star/object in the sky, and it's going from red to green to blue, orange, purple, white, burst, and it ends. And it's changing colors. Now, planets kind of do that, and galaxies do that. This was a lot bigger and brighter. And so I said, you know what? I want to have a cigarette. I'm going to pull off the side of the road. It's going to take 10 minutes. I'll take a look at this thing. Where Fayetteville is, if you don't know where Fayetteville is, some people call it Vietnam if you're in the military. It's right by Fort Bragg. So I get out, I pull off this country road. No one's there. No one's following us. Nobody. My wife is passed out. I shut the light off in the car. So when I open the door, I'm not going to wake her up. And I just kind of close the door. And I'm looking at this thing, smoking a cigarette. And I'm going, oh my God, that's really cool. And it's doing red, orange, green, blue, purple, burst. And then it gets bigger, and it's shining a light down, and it's bigger. And I'm like, I wish I had my scope here, because I'd be videotaping. This is really interesting. I've seen craft like this before. And it's kind of like it's there's like a shimmer to it. It's kind of like vibrating back and forth. It's really weird. It's not your normal craft. So I said, by Fort Bragg, it could be a drone. I don't know, but it didn't have that feel to it, that vibe to it. And I'm at this point, it's probably like 10 to 12 or 5 to 12, and I'm still watching it. It gives me a nice burst, shines up bright. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And the next thing I know, I'm in my car. I don't remember getting in my car. And I'm kind of like my head was down. I picked my head up. My neck hurts. And I'm looking around, and everybody's just still passed out. And my Waze is there. Do you want to resume? This is what Waze does. I said, yeah, of course I want to resume. So I click on the resume. I'm getting ready to put the car in drive, and I start driving a little bit. It says you'll be at your destination, and it tells you how long you got to your destination. It says you'll be at your destination at 4:00 in the morning. And I immediately stopped the car, and I'm like, what? I'm looking at it. Then I look at the clock in the car. Then I look at my watch. So what should have been 12 a.m., me in the car getting in driving around, it was 3 a.m. I have a 3-hour missing time window. My neck hurts. My kids are there in the car. I've checked. I'm like, okay. I'm trying to figure this out. I'm tired. I said, okay, I'll figure this out later. And I drive, and I'm thinking, and I'm driving and thinking. We pull up to the hotel, and we get out, and I get the room. And my wife said, what time is it? And I said, it's 4 in the morning. Why did it take so long? I said, oh, they shut the road down. I can't tell my wife. I can't tell my younger one. I can't tell my older one. So we go to sleep. We wake up the next day to kind of get an early start to go down there. And my youngest goes, Dad, can you help me with my shirt? And as she gets up and she takes off her shirt, I notice on the bed there's a little bit of speck of blood. Again, I'm the investigator in this. I'm not telling my wife anything. I'm not telling my kids anything. And I said, come here, honey. And I look, and on her shoulder blade, her right shoulder blade in the back looks like a hole, like a BB, like if you sat on a BB, and an impression, a scoop mark. And I see the blood, and I'm like, okay. I said, how do you feel, guys? Oh, my headache's better. It's not there anymore. Everybody had a headache. My family never complains. Wife doesn't complain. They only complain about me. They don't complain about headaches. They don't complain about anything. The younger one's scared of everything because she sees everything now. But so I said, okay, cool. So we go down to this spot in Florida, and it's a new community that's being built. We bought there, but it happens to be around the corner from us. They haven't built ours yet. Is a friend of ours. Our daughters met in summer camp, and they became really good friends. And now we're friendly with them. So we stop by, say hi, and this was around 2 days prior. We were going to stay there for a week, and we were just checking. Yes, we're gonna buy the home. We're gonna have it be built, whatever. And we said, we'll pay them this. So we went over and hung out with them for outside for a bit, and it was really weird. It's kind of getting to dusk, and I got this sound, like this piercing, like a whistle, like a ringing in my ear. And every time I've gotten it since for years, I automatically look up, and they're looking up. And you can see the sky. It's kind of like the sun setting, so you get a little bit of the blue, a little bit of the brown. Is an object very bright, red, orange, green, blue, purple, and it's spinning and it's vibrating. And I said, "I see you, I see you." And I just went on with my. I was pretty pissed off. I knew something was up. I knew we got abducted. We got taken. And I didn't just fall asleep there. We got taken. I was outside that car no more than 10 minutes. I should have been in the car 12 a.m. and going.
Yep.
So we go through the whole thing. We come back, and we come back up to New York. And about 4 days later, one of my wife's friends that we're friendly with, let's go for lunch. So we all go for lunch. So it's me, my wife, my two kids, my two daughters, her friend, and her daughter, and we're outside in this really nice place, outside in Sleepy Hollow, because I used to go to Sleepy Hollow, and it's called Horse Feathers. It's great. It's haunted. I'm gonna do an investigation there this summer. Great food, like a really cool place to hang out. So we're done, and I said, look, I'm gonna use the restroom. I'm gonna pay the bill, and then I'll meet you outside. So sure. So I go in, use the facilities, come back out, pay the bill, and I'm turning out to walk outside, and there's my wife, like with my oldest daughter. I'm like, what the heck's going on? She had a nosebleed. I'm like, what? Yeah, she had a nosebleed. Look what came out. And I kid you not, I'm trying to find something it's about half the thickness. It's about the size thick as this wire right here, folks. A square, probably 2 inches by 2 inches thick, square. She got that whole thing came out of her nostril. And it just so happened to be that when it was during the C period, if I didn't have rubber gloves to touch doors, I would use like a Glad bag. Sandwich bags? I got 500 of them. I can always put them in my pocket, turn them inside out, grab a door, close it, and then whatever. So I said, oh, I'll throw that out. And I grabbed it purposely to get it tested from one of my friends that does DNA stuff at, I think it was NYU. Put it in the zippered it in, and I try to keep it in a cool spot. And for some reason, every time when we came home, this whole thing is atypical abduction stories.
Yeah.
Atypical. And the problem I have with it is, and I said it to you before, you can take me. Take me. You want to liposuction some of this? You want to do whatever it is, sculpt it a little bit.
Do you want to address the, and you don't have to.
Yeah, I can.
Do you want to address the
after effects of an abduction? Let me get into that. So, what's very interesting is, and it was purposely done, in my opinion. Every time I went to go do something with it, I was something like almost like a brain fart, and I was distracted. And I had to do something else. So that sample deteriorated, which I was pissed off about. But I'm like, if there was one time I got it, there'll be another. So let's fast forward. We moved down here in August. I've been here a couple months before. Every time I get the high pitch ring, I see these objects. I stay up late. I can't sleep early. I just can't. I get a second wind, or I start thinking about things, or people call me with an issue, and I'm there to help them. And but I'm getting this feeling. I just get this feeling. I'm waiting for this. I have this in my living room area. There's 2 floors. My living room area. I look out the window. It's It's dark, but you can still see the next house. And I just have this image in my head. I know there's going to be an alien popping its head up. I can't describe how I know. I know I'm being watched. I've got the feeling of being watched. And this goes on for about from August to just around the beginning of October. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I go on with it. Hey, come on in if you want. I don't care. So around the end of October, I kind of wake up one night and I'm feeling terrible. I have a tremendous amount of pain in a certain spot, my ass. Sorry to be so graphic. And because at one point I got sick, they made me do a colonoscopy. And this feels like a colonoscopy, but without anesthesia. It's really weird when you go undergo procedures and you get put under first. You don't remember the pains or anything. So when you wake up, it's like a little bit of discomfort. But this is like,
Yeah.
whoa. And I'm in like what the hell's like either my wife's doing something really funky to me in the middle of the night, or is something's and I just got this feeling like I think I was taken. I think I was taken again. And I'll let you know, as a UFO investigator, everybody always talks about anal probes, and I'll tell you why. These species, these different species are here to get their races, and they've destroyed it. They've almost killed themselves off. So the reason why they're here and they're doing these genetic experiments is our DNA is perfect base to create their life again. So they'll abduct males and they'll take the sperm of a male with an alien egg and they'll create these hybrids and eventually have alien and human alien. And eventually, if you go into bio class, eventually what you'll do is you'll get babies that are half human, half alien, alien, human, and then, the reverse, and you can weed out and eventually get just the alien you want out of it. And the way they get sperm from men is they use an anal probe. There's a spot in your, I know this is really graphic. So that's what it is. So I went and I left my room, I checked, and I was just feeling very uncomfortable. I'm like, no staining, no nothing. This is just really painful. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to sleep outside on the sofa. And I'm trying to doze off. And about 10 minutes later, I doze off. My youngest is there. So she kind of frightens me. I'm like, what are you doing? And she tells me the following. So I saw the UFOs out my window, and I grabbed the beads that you gave me, and I gave her like New Orleans type of beads, and I was gonna whip the aliens that were there, and whip them if they came any closer than they were. I said, "Oh, so you saw alien? Yes." And I whipped them, but can I stay with you because I don't want to fight them. I want to be protected. Now, the chance of my youngest talking about craft and UFOs and aliens, and me experiencing what I'm having, slim to none. So this whole event has been very interesting. But someone mentioned to me, because I mentioned this to a couple other people, and some of which I trust in investigators, and they said, your heart growing again is not normal.
Yeah.
It happens to select people. Do you think you were paid a visit and you've been fixed? And I said, I put more of my faith and belief in God, but I won't discredit that thought process. So that's where I am. I mean, I really do think God had something to play, but there's always that back end, mind of did they actually do some work up there? Like, did they say, okay, he's gonna have a problem, so do the bypass so he can live? Because everybody that I met, even the new cardiologists I had, they all looked at me like they look at my work, the sheet that tells you everything, like they look at you and like, you look really good. I don't look like the person that has had one of those before. So I think is a combination of things taking place here. And if they're if extraterrestrials are involved in some form of this, thanks. You can do whatever you want. Well, for the most part,
Yeah.
leave it to me, but leave my kids alone. But
Well, I'm going to
yeah.
promise everybody right now that I'm not going to wait as long as I don't know why it took so long for us. I do know why. I'm going to real quickly here before we get cut off. I do know why it's been so long because you're so like next to James Brown, you're the hardest working man in
Ah,
the biz.
no.
And
I
every time I
appreciate it.
reach
Twice
out
for
to
you.
you got something going on. And what I do is I sometimes get a little paranoid if I'm going to reach out to somebody that's so busy. They don't want to say no, but they don't have time to come on, and I don't want to put that on. So I just finally took a shot and reached out to you, and I picked you at a good time, and you were free. But I'm going to hold on to this list of I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 7 questions, 7,
Sure.
8, 9. Actually, I got 11 questions here from fans and followers of yours that I'm
Thank
going to
you very much.
save for your next visit.
I appreciate it. Tell me when, and we'll get it done.
Brian, I am so glad, brother.
You
Go ahead,
might want to
Zach.
leave him alone for the next couple weeks, though. He's probably going to be crying a little
You
bit.
don't understand. I have a couple of interviews coming up, and I'm looking at the Rangers schedule. Like, no, I can't do it that night.
Yeah. Hey,
Can't do it that night.
yeah. If this show would have been tomorrow,
Yeah, it
we
wouldn't
wouldn't be
happen.
doing this show tomorrow.
Wouldn't be happening.
Okay?
I'm with
So,
you. Look, break a leg. It's
Yeah,
going to be a
you
tough
too,
series.
man.
This is a series I'm worried about because I think either one of our teams could finish it. I'm
The
not worried about the
truth
other
is-
teams.
The truth is, as long as nobody gets hurt and they're
Yep.
tough games,
I
I'll be
touched that
much
cup in
better if the
Toronto,
Devils
boys.
win. But I mean,
Yeah, well, we'll see. I'll be back.
Brian, I love you. I
Love you
respect
too, brother.
you. God bless you. I'm so glad you're doing better. I
Yep.
will reach out to you because I don't want people mad at me that I didn't get to their questions. So I'm going to have you back for an update on how everything's going, get to the fan questions, and I'll be praying for you, brother.
I thank you very much. I said my prayers back to you and to everybody. God bless you all. Pray. Just pray.
Absolutely.
Trust me.
I'll see you later.
You
Have
got
a great
it.
evening. Bye-bye, brother.
Bye.
Before I say goodbye to all of you, let me get Zach on here, see if he has any announcements he'd like to make.
yeah. We started the show with a brief commercial. On May 1st, which is May Day, we are turning the word around to the emergency usage, because as the video said in there, in 2020, when COVID started, the suicide rate in America was starting to go down. COVID hit, and by the time that 2020 ended, we had lost a life every 11 seconds to suicide.
Wow.
As many of you guys know, as Shawn, you've been part of my 22-hour program for 2 years in a row. We have decided as a group of people that we are going to start talking about this every week, because this is a problem. Losing 11 people or losing one person every 11 seconds, we can't continue this. So suicide is going to be first and foremost, and mental health help is something that we're going to be focusing on every Monday on the PAC channels. And I want to invite you guys to come and check it out at 11 o'clock Eastern in the morning on May Day. So May 1st, because May Day, we have a problem. Thank you, Shawn, for giving me the shot.
You got it, brother. Anytime. All right, guys. We're almost out of time here. Thank you all so very much for taking an hour out of your busy Monday evening to spend with me. Don't you just love Brian Bowden? And thank you to Zach and Adrian Clayton, my co-producers. You guys tune into Zach's show on May Day. That's communitypayitforward.us. Go there to check things out. God bless the USOCC.org, the church I belong to. Go to bishopjameslong.com. You'll see links there for Bible study and night prayer, which are cool. Thank you to Things Network. Thank you to Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment. Thank you to Skeleton Key Network. Thank you to PACT, Little P, capital ACT Podcasting for all coming together channel for everybody simulcasting my show. God bless all those networks. And remember, BeInspiredRadio.net, Chicky Hot's radio network. She re-airs audio re-airs of my show all day long on Saturdays. And she's got a lot of other cool shows there on her network too. So check that out. I'll be here this coming Friday, the 21st. Lindsay Sharman. You guys all love her. An experiencer, a podcaster, paranormal authority. She's got a great story to tell. That's this coming Friday. Bad joke time. A bad joke one of you sent in that I'm going to pull out of this Haunted Carnival Barker hat. My poor attempt to make everybody smile before I say goodnight. How do you make an egg roll? You push it. I love you all. God bless you all. Peace.